Hey there, I'm Rena, owner and designer at the Rustic Horseshoe. In this free tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the pants for my Raindrop Ragdoll collection. Pictured here, I have all the bears, but upcoming there are more animals planned for this collection, and whatever animal it is, the body is going to be the same. So the pants will fit any of the animals in my Raindrop Ragdoll collection. For your pants, there's a lot of versatility. You can make them into like pajama pants, like this panda is wearing, more the pajama look. You can repurpose jeans and make some jeans. And what's super fun is how you can incorporate parts of the jeans into their jeans. Like I cut out designs and I sewed them here from the jeans. And this is the small coin pocket because of course a regular size pocket isn't going to fit. And on these, it had a different coin pocket, so I was able to put the whole coin pocket. But I also cut out that little Levi's tag from a different pocket, or picked it out with a seam ripper, and sewed that in there to give it the little Levi's tag. And then I also used a seam ripper to remove the label tag from the jeans and put it on here. So that's a fun aspect you can incorporate from the, if you're repurposing jeans or other clothing, you can incorporate pieces of that. Or just get new fabric and make them. You can make shorts, long pants, you can also cut it anywhere in between. You can decide where you want them to end. You don't have to go with the cut lines that I have on the templates. So there's a lot of fun options, things you can incorporate. It's a great way to have a memory animal if you want to, as far as the clothing. It can be jeans from someone who's close to you that's maybe passed on or just away, or just that you want to hold close. Or it can just be your repurposing jeans for any reason. It doesn't have to be sentimental, but there's a lot that you can do with that. This tutorial is an all video tutorial. I don't also have a photo or written tutorial to accompany it, but you will need to go to my website at rustichorseshoe.com. The link is below. Grab the free templates to make the pants or shorts, get those printed and cut out, and then you're ready to start. So let's make some pants. Okay, we're gonna make the pants, and after you've printed and cut your templates, make sure that they're at the appropriate size with the 1-inch square. We're going to join the templates where they say join. So you have join E and join E along this dotted line. So these two pieces will go together. And you also have, it's one of two, and then 1, 2 of 2. So that's how you know you have the right piece, is those all line up. So now you have the full template piece after joining that. And you can put tape on the back too, either way. So you're going to do that with both pieces, so you'll tape these together as well to get your full piece for the front and the back. To start, we're going to start with our 2 back pieces and our tail facing pieces. First, our tail facing pieces, just for the tail hole. We're going to align, they have the A and the B. I've marked those on my pieces here. We're going to put them right sides together. We're going to sew from this edge to this edge, and then from this edge to this edge, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that it opens up like this. And I'm going to iron these open real quick. So that's the tail facing hole ready. So now we're going to take the back panels. We have our 2 back panels for our pants. We're going to put them right sides together. And again, pin if needed. Denim is really easy to sew short spots without pinning. And so we're going to sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance from C to A, and then from B to D. See how that's sewn? We open up, have our little tail hole here. I'm going to iron these open like I did with the tail hole facing. So I have those ironed open. Put these right sides up, and I'm going to take the tail hole facing. Make sure the A end is going up to the top. And put it right sides together, lining up this hole here. When you're putting it together, align the seams. Now we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance from this edge all the way around the circle. Looks something like this, and then you're going to clip the curves inside here. You have it clipped. Now we're going to turn the facing to the back so that it's wrong sides together with the pants. And start at the seam and flip that under. I pin this as I do it so I can get it to stay. So that's what the whole facing looks like at this point. We're going to top stitch. You can start an 1/8 of an inch and then maybe do another one. I'm going to do a 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and then I'm going to do a double one if I feel like I need to. But we'll start with just a 1/4 inch from the edge to give that, to hold the facing back far enough so it's not going to curl back into the opening. Okay, now I'm going to go and do another stitch around. I like the double stitch look, and it also gives a little bit more holding power to holding that facing back. Should look something like that. You can trim away some of this excess fabric if you would like, or you can leave it as it is. It could eventually start to curl. I just like to trim it away, at least up to here. The rest of this is going to get caught in the waistband. But being denim, that can be rather thick to sew, especially since you have the seam there from the pants. So I'm going to trim that away as well, so I don't have extra bulk while I'm putting the waistband in. The back of your pants, something like that. Now for the jeans, I just cut it on the natural hem of the jeans that I repurposed for this. If you would like to, if you're making pants or you didn't have a hem already there and you're wanting a hem, there's a facing piece in the pattern templates that you can then sew on at this point. So you would sew that right sides together, sew a 1/4 inch seam across, and then you're going to have this extra flap of fabric, which is going to then be turned under later. But you would sew on the hem facing now if you're going to use the hem facing. You don't have to use the hem facing. The hem facing, I don't like turning things under and hemming it. I don't think I get an even hem. So the hem facing is to help you get an even hem. You can very much just turn the edge under and hem it later without the hem facing. But if you want to use the hem facing, now's the time to sew it on so it's on the edge of the pants. and there'll just be that little tag flap hanging off here. Now we're going to sew the front part of our pants together. So you have the front one, it doesn't have that hole, and it has a more flat waistband. It doesn't kind of come up at an angle. So you're going to place those pieces right sides together. And you're going to sew them from C to D. You can iron that seam open if you want, or you can just leave it. I'm going to go iron it real quick so it's out of the way. There we go. So the front pants, front side, all ready. At this point, if you want to put any embellishments on your pants, it's the time to do it. Like I cut off, this is the coin pocket from the pants because the regular pockets are obviously too big, but the coin pockets work great for little embellishments. Or if there's any other designs from the pants that you want to cut and incorporate and applique them in place, now's the time to do that before you put the two panels together. So I'm going to add this little pocket to the back of my jeans. But I have to be mindful of the 1/4 inch seam allowance here and make sure that I don't get it in the way. So this pocket's just slightly a little big. I have to remember I have seam allowance up here, so I don't want to put it way up here. I need to have room for that seam allowance there. I've already got the tail end, so that's good. I can move that over and still have my 1/4 inch seam allowance. When I stitch this on, obviously I can't stitch super close to the snaps. So when I'm done with my pants, I'll take some hand stitching and I'll just hand tack these corners down. But I'm going to machine stitch it all the way as close as I can, and I'm going to follow the seam that's already on the pocket so it kind of blends in with it. When I started it, because of the foot, that's as close as I could get to this edge, but with the foot coming around the other direction, I was able to get much closer. So I'll hand tack that down, but now I'm going to go the other direction with my sewing machine just to kind of get this a little more machine sewn down. See how that stitch looks on the back, near the front, and later I'll tack those edges down because I can't get those sewn by machine. But the rest is all sewn in place, and I have a workable little pocket from that coin pocket. Once you have any embellishments on your pants that you would like to have done, then it's time to sew the front and the back panels together. So place them right sides together. I'm going to pin at the corner. We're going to pin at the little crook in the pants from the waist to the leg. Then we're going to align the edges and pin here. And then we're going to continue pinning between those points, but those are our anchor points to make sure everything lines up. And you can pin this in sections and work in sections, or you can pin all of it at once and then sew it all at once. I'm going to work in sections for this. So now I'm going to sew from the top of the waistband down to the bottom of the leg using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now this whole edge is sewn. Because we're dealing with denim, does not have much stretch per se, usually. I'm going to clip the curves so that the jeans turn out nicely at the seams. So I just clipped right here this section that's curved. I don't really need to clip the straight edge. Now I'm going to align the inside edges. I'm going to align the seam at the crotch. And then I'm going to align the bottoms of the legs. Then from there, I'm going to align the edges and put some pins in place between these 3 points. Okay, now for this section, I'm going to sew 1/4 inch seam allowance from the bottom of the edge up around the crotch and back down to the bottom of the other edge of the leg. Okay, so we have it stitched all along here, and you're going to want to clip the curves into the crotch. Now we're going to sew the other side just as we did this side. Alright, so we're going to sew this edge here, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Kind of should look something like this right now. We've got the waistband open. Now we're going to work on the waistband. So we have our waistband, this one. What we're first going to do is we're going to fold it wrong sides together so that the right side is facing out, and we're going to iron it. So now it's ironed and we can see the crease for the halfway point. So now put the ends right side together and sew them together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just to help with things, I'm going to go iron this open right here. We're going to take our elastic and on one side of the fold, we're going to put it in place. So the side of the fold that it's not on is going to be the outside of the band. So if you had a decorative thing or whatever, that would be the side you don't want to sew the elastic to on that edge. First, I'm going to fold the elastic in half and mark the center with a pin. Then I'm going to fold it in half the other way and mark the 1/4 spots with a pin. So now I have the halfway point, 1/4 point, halfway point, 3/4 point, and then the ends. So the end is already marked with the seam on the waistband. I'm going to fold it in half. And if you put the markings in, you already have the marking for the halfway point there. I'm just going to put a pin there anyway. And then we're going to fold it in half the other way. So line up the front and the back center so that we can then mark what will be the 1/4 points. So now we have the back, the front center, 1/4 of the way on these will be the side of the waist. Now starting at the back, you don't want to cross the halfway part that you did with the fold where it's there, but you want to try to leave the 1/4 inch seam allowance open. So I'm right up against the fold here with this edge of the elastic. And I'm gonna stretch, well, I'm not stretching it yet, but I'm moving it so that the quarter points match up here, and you're gonna have, that's what the elastic's there for. It's gonna be bunched up, you know, extra fabric there versus the elastic. So then pin the quarter point. Then you can see how the center points are off. Match the center point. And then again here, these are off. Match them up, keeping that along the folded inside. And then the end is going to come back to the seam. I'm going to take the pins out that are in the jeans only and not the jeans and the elastic. Whoops, took the wrong one out. Now you could continue stretching and pinning if you like. What I do at this point is I just start sewing. I put my stitch on a zigzag stitch, and we're going to zigzag right directly on top of the elastic. So we're going to get started on one end. Then from each quarter point, it makes it pretty easy just to stretch it. So right here I have it started. I'm going to pull the elastic until it's stretched out even with the fabric between these 2 points. And these 2 points are basically it's a quarter section of it. And so then I'm going to sew directly on top of it with a zigzag stitch. So then move the pin at that quarter point, stretch it to the next quarter point where you have the other pin, and repeat. Then do that again. And the last quarter piece stretch, so pull that tight. Kind of looks like a crumbled mess at this point because of elastic, but you have the elastic all along the folded inside with a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the waist of the waistline. Sorry, around the length of the waistband. Now that you have the elastic in, fold back on the fold that you ironed in before you put the elastic in. And you could do this without pinning if you'd like. I like to pin it. Just make sure everything is set. It also will depend on what kind of fabric you're using. So we're going to base stitch along the edge to hold this all in place so it's a lot easier to put into the pants. So just like 1/8 of an inch from the edge just to get it in place. So you can see how this makes it a whole lot easier to work with once we get to the pants. It doesn't have to have a lot of stretch for this. It's just enough to hold this up onto the bear so they don't fall off. Or whatever Raindrop Ragdoll, because this fits more than just the bear. Okay, so you'll see one side has the stitches where you attach the elastic, and one side you don't see those stitches. So you want that side to be your outside of the waistband, so make sure you're putting that right sides together with the outside fabric. So you're going to put that right sides together with that to make sure that when it's all finished that you see that edge and not the stitched side. So line up the seam on the waistband with the seam on the back of the pants. You're going to want to find your halfway point again. And you're going to, oops, got mine backwards. Back of the pants has the hole. Alright, so the seam on the waistband with the seam on the back of the pants, and then the center mark with the front seam on the pants. And you're aligning the raw edges with the folded end of the waistband pointing down, because that will be flipped up later, of course. So then you can mark the quarter mark spots on the waistband by folding them in half the other direction like we did earlier. See those marked. So then you mark up one quarter spot with the side seam on one end, and the other with the side seam on the opposite side. Then continue aligning the edges between the points that you've marked, these anchor points, and then pin in place. Okay. So we have the waistband pinned in, and we're going to sew all the way around using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Your waistband looks something like this. And at this point we can turn the pants right side out. The jeans can get a little thick and a little tight at the narrow spot up on the thigh. Just work it through, and if you need to use chopsticks or a forceps to help you turn them, that's totally acceptable. Those are great tools to have for any plushie making. You can also just kind of separate the opening here and just kind of work the jeans out. They are thick. Little bit by little bit, you'll get them. So if you're going to use the forceps, you just stick them in there. Grab onto some of that fabric and pull. Alright, your pants are looking cool right now. Just have a few more things to do. So we're going to flip the waistband up, and we're going to top stitch right underneath this seam here to hold the waistband down. So we're going to be catching this little bit of fabric here to pin it down. You can see how that stitch looks. It's holding down that. Get your little pants. Here with your cute little pocket, your tail hole. The last thing to do is to hem the bottom of your, whether it's your shorts or your pants. If you want to hem the bottom, if you didn't use the hem already from some jeans, just if you use the hem facing, flip it under, top stitch it. If you didn't use the hem facing and you want to hem it, just flip it under to whatever length you want, and then top stitch it for the hem. I'm not really going to go over that too much. And then what I do when I use the hem on the jeans, you end up with this spot that kind of doesn't look very good, and it kind of takes up space and makes it awkward on the bottom of the legs on the bear. So I push these out, and I'm going to just stitch right here to hold these back so that they don't stick in like that and kind of stick out and look odd. So you can see, compared to the two, how this sticks up and now this is flat. I'm going to do that to the other side of this one and to the other leg. So the pants are all finished now. Let's try them on our bear, see how they fit. Remember that depending on how thick you stuff your bear or other Raindrop Ragdoll and what type of fabric you use will depend on how much it stretches. For example, if you're using cotton, these pants will be a little bit looser. If you're using fleece, these pants might be a little tight. I designed them for kind of the middle stretch, which is the minky. It stretches somewhere between the cotton and the fleece. So you might need to make some adjustments. But you have to reach in there and kind of pull the leg through. It just kind of slides up over the belly. I'll tack that down later with the hand stitch, but goes up over the tail, and there you have your Raindrop Ragdoll in pants. Oops, that leg's not pulled all the way through. There we go. Okay, you're all finished. You've made pants or shorts or pajamas, whatever, for your Raindrop Ragdoll. It's just a fun element to dress them up, and I hope you had fun making them, and I hope you have fun dressing your Raindrop Ragdoll. We'll see you in the next project.